What is going on, everybody? And picks, and it is Thanksgiving week. Um, it's a week of family, and it is a week of football. And really, Thanksgiving is, viewed by many as really at this point. Sunday will be December 1st, so we will officially hit the month of December here in week 13. Obviously, Thanksgiving, we have our three traditional games. We have a Black Friday game. Black Friday always kind of been interesting day in many ways. But good to have some football, on that day too. We'll take football whenever we can get it. Obviously, Saturday, rivalry weekend. And then Sunday, man, big slate of games. This is really, I feel like, the first week you can say that there is actually a ton of playoff implications for a lot of these teams that are playing. Teams trying to stay if they have in their divisions or, make their mark on the wild card race. It's going to be started. Results so far last week, I went 7-6. It was an all right week. I feel like I could have done better on some of the picks. Overall record, win margin. Lock of the week, 11-1. And finally, I got an upset Texans. So finally, I have an upset of the week. Man, I'm excited about that. A 1-11 on upsets of the week, but finally, at least to get one. I think last year I got the week 1, I got my upset of the week pick right, and I had to wait all the way until week 12 this year, but better late than never. All right, let's fire away. Start off with these games. We don't have any bye weeks. 16, and we're starting off with the traditional Thanksgiving day. And this was a game that for so many years, you really just use this snap. Not anymore, man. This, honestly, you can make the argument this is going to be what everyone is watching for on Thanksgiving. The 10-1 Detroit Lions having, honestly, a historical season when you just look at how they have continued to beat these teams down week in and week out. With their offense, they're playing great. They are playing like the best team in the NFL right now. Hosting the Chicago Bears, who had an exciting Hail Mary in Washington. And it's been a lot of tough luck. Lions actually haven't won on Thanksgiving since 2016, I want to say. Even last year, they lost on Thanksgiving. So the Lions, out of all things, are looking to finally win again on Thanksgiving. And it feels like if they're going to do it in a year, this has to be the year. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick the Lions to win this game. And ultimately, I think they should take care of business here and handle Chicago pretty easily. I think, it's going to be the story we've seen with Detroit. They play their style of football. They're going to get their running game going. Jared Goff, I feel like this could be a game that he is in store to distribute the ball to guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, get the ball in the hands of the receivers, and they really make plays. And Chicago, I feel like for Caleb, obviously you want him in his zone, but I just feel like things are so, nothing is going right with Chicago right now. To give this to Detroit. Next game, you want to talk about what's going to be a snooze fest. 4:30 from Dallas. The 2-9 Giants at the 4-7 Cowboys. This is not a appeasing matchup on Thanksgiving, considering the Cowboys are playing every year. But it's the hand that we're dealt, and we're stuck with it. The Cowboys ain't gonna be not playing on Thanksgiving for any time soon. But as far as this game goes, look, these two teams, I mean, the Cowboys have been dealt with a terrible hand with Dak's injury and, all the things going against them. Feels like a lame duck season for a lot of people there. And the Giants, it's just an absolute mess. But I feel like here you got to give it to Dallas. Dallas has been up and down on Thanksgiving, but they have won in recent years. You can blow the Giants out, and maybe this is after this game, you see people get some hope and excitement. I don't think it materializes too much. I just the Giants are such a bad team. I feel like you got to give this to Dallas kind of by default. Night game. This was a game a few weeks ago, and it's always been this Thanksgiving night games. Always one of the games I'm kind of looking forward to, because it is that alternating game every year, and we've had some rivalries years ago. It's kind of what really got me fascinated to it. But this was a game a few weeks ago. Some get back into the playoff mix in the AFC. If they were able to win this game, they very Lambeau Field facing a Pat Bay does. They win football games. They do what they have to do to take care of business. And Miami, obviously a warm weather team. You're having to go up to Lambeau on Thanksgiving night. This is kind of a death trap for the Dolphins. In that running game going, I could definitely see them keeping it close. I just feel like Green Bay, they're gonna will away with this game, and ultimately pull out the win. They're gonna be eating turkey legs afterwards. Black Friday game. A new addition to the league schedule. And it looks like it's really going to be divisional games every year. We have the Raiders, who have not had a good season at all, going in facing the Chiefs, who just suffered a massive scare in Charlotte on Sunday, but they to win the damn game, and that's what ultimately matters. Now I finally takes. I just don't see this game being close. I don't. I think Kansas City is going to take care of this because I just think the Raiders are really that bad of a team. So I expect the Chiefs to take care of this game. I'm going to say it's a lot of the game. I just don't. So I think the Chiefs pull away with the win. Heading into our Sunday slate of games, divisional matchup here. The Houston Texans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Houston, even though, they're 7-5 and they're on top of that division, it still feels like there's something missing that the Texans had last year that they just don't. It's like the excitement has worn off with CJ Stroud. and you're really looking for him to get back to that form he was playing at last year. Now Jacksonville has been relatively awful. I'm honestly shocked that he did not make any moves over the bye week with Urban Meyer after how bad they've been losing. They lost that game in Detroit really bad. I do think this is a good spot for the Texans to get back on track. And you got to respect Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence is still a solid quarterback. But I think that situation around him, it's just not good. And I think Houston should really use this as a get-right spot as we do head down that home stretch. Next game here, the Indianapolis Colts trying to really stay in the playoff mix at the New England Patriots. Now, I'm going to say this about the Colts. They've been up and down, but, they're still hanging around on the outskirts of the AFC playoff race. I don't think Shane Steichen's a bad coach. I really feel like Anthony Richardson is. I don't know how to feel about him. I don't know if it's going to work out. I feel like you've seen flashes from them. You've seen potential flashes of success and can win. So I'm going to get this to the Patriots. I feel like the Colts really are, due for that loss that is really going to dash their hopes. And I think that honestly could be here. As tough as it probably is for Colts fans to hear. So I got to give this to the Patriots. I feel like they're going to, they're not a good team, but I still feel like you got to respect them. And I feel like this is just a spot that they win in. Next game, and obviously I'll be doing my usual preview on Friday evening. But Falcons are coming off a bye. Chargers coming in. It's going to be a tough game. Obviously, I'm going to talk about it a lot later in the week. I'm going to give the win to us here. I feel like it's obviously a very tough one. The Chargers have been playing football. Jim Harbaugh is a really good coach. But I just feel like coming out the bye after playing to prime country for what is West Coast time, 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give the Falcons a win. Next game, from West leading Seattle Seahawks. Yes, they are. Over 500. And not any team is out of it yet. At the New York Jets, who obviously have had a mess of a season, but I really feel like this is a game. This is a big time trap spot for Seattle because it's kind of just like what I mentioned with the Chargers. And obviously, they do have the full week, but it's Thanksgiving week and you're having to travel across the country, different time zone. Man, it's really one of those tough things. And the Jets coming off a bye, they just fired Joe Douglas. It feels like they're due for one more win this season. So, as crazy as it sounds, it feels like a big time trap for Seattle. I'm going to pick the Jets to win. And I don't even know if it's all that close. They just kind of, throw that, and I have it every week, throwing a dart, spicy hot take. I think the Jets beat the Seahawks. It's not even close. And it's not because I think the Jets are a better team. It's just I like the Jets in the spot. They're at home Sunday after Thanksgiving. Don't know what the weather looks like, but I feel like I like the Jets a whole lot more than Seattle here. Next game, the Tennessee Titans at Washington. And Washington has to get back on track. They've been losing games after that. Excuse me, I'm a little bit of a sore throat, a little bit of a cough. Should have said at the beginning of the video. At Washington, they've been on a 3-game losing streak. And that game versus Dallas, missing that extra point, that's just a tough loss. Tennessee coming off of an upset win against Houston, looking to make it 2 in a row. But I don't see it happening. I do think Washington's going to pull out the win here, just mainly because they're due for it, and they have to get a win to playoff spot. Next game, AFC North rivalry in Pittsburgh, 8-3, but they've really been playing a lot of these games close. And Cincinnati, they've been losing a lot of excuse me, a lot of these games close. But I feel like it's one of those back and forth games that you feel like the Bengals are gonna come out and get a win in. It feels like Pittsburgh, as kind of they have in recent years, Pittsburgh kind of always does recently. And it feels like the Bengals, due for this win to maybe restore a little hope. I don't know how much, but maybe restore a little hope. I guess we'll see, but I am going to go ahead and pick Cincinnati to win. Next game, interesting matchup in the NFC. 2 teams in playoff position, the 6-5 Cardinals and the 9-2 Vikings. Man, it feels like one of those games where you could absolutely see it going either way. Obviously, Arizona, really in a dog fight. They just keep finding ways to win games. It's almost like with the Chiefs. They already have 9 wins on the season. And if Detroit can get slipping, maybe they're not out of it in that division. But, with them being at home versus the Cardinals, it's like I say, I really feel like this week you have to favor the home teams because it is a holiday weekend and especially because of travel and all that. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to pick the Vikings to win. I think it's a close game. Their 10th win of the year is kind of crazy to think about as it is. The Los Angeles Rams, it's really been an up and down year. Just suffered that loss to the Eagles at the Saints. The Saints potentially restore some hope for playing some meaningful games down the stretch. But ultimately, I feel like this is a spot that the Rams come out, take care of business, and get things back on track. It kind of feels like the trajectory the Rams are on. Win one, lose one. Win one, lose one. And even though they lost a game they should have won earlier in the year in Miami, that was in SoFi, it feels like the Rams have had good success against the Saints. Well, it's been up and down in New Orleans. Obviously, an NFC Championship. I do think the Saints beat them in the regular season a few years ago. It just feels like the Rams, they need to get a win here to really get back on track. And the Saints need to come back down to earth. So, got to give this to the Rams. Next game here in the NFC South. Tampa Bay at Carolina. And look, Carolina, you gotta give them credit. They've been playing much better football. Bryce Young is playing some of the best ball of his career. Maybe Dave Canales is finally getting him right. And Tampa Bay, that coming off the bye, got a big win in New York to, get back to their winning ways. But look, this honestly feels like a game I could feel very stupid in. But I feel like you got to respect Carolina's momentum, and I'm going to give them a win here, as crazy as it sounds. I'm just, and maybe it's a little bit of hoping. I don't even think it's that. I can absolutely see Tampa winning in most scenarios. I just think you got to respect what Carolina's done. And look, even though they lost that game versus Kansas City, if you can handle that momentum that you grew from that game, right, it could lead to some wins here down the stretch. So I'm going to give Carolina the benefit of the doubt and actually pick them to win this game. 425, big game in Baltimore between the top two running backs in the league, two of the top running teams in the league, two top teams in their own conference. You can go up and down the list. Philadelphia at Baltimore, going to be a very big game. And really, it could go either way. You could absolutely see Philadelphia and Saquon get going, and they run away with this game. But Baltimore at home, it feels like one of those nail biter games. But ultimately, I'm gonna pick Baltimore here. I think it's a close game. Good about this game, that we're gonna see some good football here played. Saquon and Derrick Henry, going to be very exciting to see. Hurts and Lamar, you can just go up and down. This is a very appeasing matchup for a Sunday after Thanksgiving. So I'm going to pick the Ravens here in a close one, even though it could go either way. Sunday night, San Francisco at Buffalo, the 49ers, man, it's really been some tough luck lately for San Francisco. And having to go into Buffalo, still don't know if Brock Purdy's, gonna be out for this game. But regardless, in Buffalo, the Bills here just by default. But you could see San Francisco keeping it close, even though they didn't versus Green Bay. You could see them keeping it close here, just because it is, if Brandon Allen were to start, it's the second week of him starting. But I just feel like regardless, you got to give this to Buffalo. I think Buffalo could be in a position to even clinch their division if they win here. So I don't like San Francisco in this spot. You got to give this to Buffalo. And then Monday night, ending off the week. And I'm going to be honest, this is not a very good Monday night game to end off the Thanksgiving week with. It is a game. 3-8 Cleveland, who did just have an exciting win versus Pittsburgh, at the Broncos, who've been pretty hot as of lately, won a couple games in a row. Look, I feel like you got to just break it down like this. Denver's the better team. They have the more stable quarterback situation. Even though Jameis, he's been playing well for Cleveland. You're going into Denver, tough environment to play in. Got to give that to the Broncos to pick up the win and really continue to assert, their names in that wild card mix in the AFC with Bo Nix. Sean Payton, obviously, got to respect him as a coach. I feel like you got to get this to Denver. So with that being said, week 13, obviously, it's going to be a very exciting week of games. I do apologize for my voice, and, sometimes it happens. And, hopefully Appreciate you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.